Bucks.
Wait, there was a coin flip and we didn't have like a half-hour ESPN show about it?
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
It like happened in the dark. Speaking of Spurs. Hey folks, welcome back to the Unrestricted. Vex, RC the Bulldog, and Bob. What do you say, boys?
Hey, Bob.
Howdy,
Jeffrey.
guys.
Yeah, hey, we got a lot to get through today. I got a little bit of golf, a lot of basketball. Y'all been watching the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been good, man. Like, there's some great games going down.
Better than average first round for an NBA playoff?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, there's really only one series that's been a full-on dud, and that's Boston against Atlanta. And that's just because Atlanta ain't real good.
Yeah, in comparison to everybody else.
Yeah, but the Golden State-Sacramento series is like,
Pretty
it's
awesome.
must-see.
Yeah.
Like, if you like watching good basketball, you can't miss that series. It's been two awesome games. Sacramento has been awesome. They've had a great season. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise that they're taking the champs, down 2-0. But I think it's the way they've done it, where they've made Golden State look old, right?
Well,
Yeah, but Golden State has looked bad on the road all season long.
Fact. But they're not much on the road. They're literally 45 minutes from their houses. I mean, it's Sacramento to Golden State's not much.
yeah, they're sleeping at home.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I think you could tell they're old because in the past you'd say, okay, well, they'll turn it on in the playoffs. And now that switch over to playoff mode, the button's a little rusty.
It is, absolutely. Now, I'm not saying they can't push it when they get back to their home court. And this game this series I expect to go long. But like after two games, you got to hand it to the Sacramento Kings. And now you got Draymond Green suspended for game 3, which I just think is like the biggest crock of shit that I have seen in an NBA game, like maybe in my whole lifetime.
That suspension is a lifetime achievement award, though.
I get it, and it shouldn't be. Look, I realize who Draymond Green has been, a nut-punching dick. And it's very easy for all of us to just say, oh, well, that's Draymond being Draymond, and he stomped the guy. He didn't stomp the guy. Let's start with that. He shouldn't have been kicked out of the game. You can start with that. Sabonis is the guy who should have gotten the technical foul and the flagrant and been kicked out of the game and possibly even been talked about with a suspension.
Why do you think he grabs his ankle? He's an ankle biter.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and everybody, I've posted this on social media, and I seem to be...
Yeah, but you're still on MySpace, so no one fucking sees it.
Nobody seems to see the replay the way I see the replay. I want to make this, and like, I would love to go to our Facebook page that this show has.
That we apparently told him this morning that we have.
I didn't even know we had one.
I didn't know we had one.
Yeah,
Set it up in secret.
let's film like a Zapruder film style breakdown of the Draymond Green Sabonis thing.
No, I am with you on that was not Draymond Green's fault entirely. Sabonis did grab and Sabonis did hold him down, and the suspension is, like I said, a lifetime achievement award. But if you looked at what Draymond did after,
That was all dog
that
shit.
is the reason why.
So there was a WWE component to the way that game was being played. Sabonis was flopping all over the place. He was goading the Golden State Warriors into fouls. And by the way, the Warriors did a terrible job of falling for it. And not just Draymond Green, everybody else did too. Just a couple minutes before the grab leg incident, the officials, Courtney Kirtland, had whistled Draymond Green for a flagrant foul in the backcourt where he thought Draymond Green had taken Sabonis out with his hip behind the play. And on replay, he just didn't. He just didn't. They had it out for Green in that game, and Green allowed them the opportunity to do it.
I get that, but if Draymond Green showed a little more remorse than the 85-year-old that killed the teenager driving on his property,
Oh, boy.
Good point.
No,
Then he probably wouldn't have been suspended.
I think Draymond loves it.
He does, and he is an idiot for doing it. Like, this is the same guy who may have cost his team a championship 5 years ago by getting into it and getting suspended for a Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Like, how has he not learned?
I think he leans into it.
He does.
You said, how's he not learn? He doesn't want to learn.
He doesn't. You're
He
right.
likes that action, boss.
But he about that action, boss.
That's
He about
right.
that action. That was Marshawn Lynch, right? That was
Uh-huh.
dope.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Okay, Zapruder film-wise. Sabonis grabs Draymond's right leg.
Yep.
He also, and this is the part that nobody seems to zoom in on, he also rolls over onto the top of Draymond Green's left foot. So Draymond is trying to get free. He's kind of trying to jump off of his left foot to like get the hell out of there because he wants to run down floor. But he can't because his foot is stuck under Sabonis, who's holding it like a child in infant pose. So now he's got to put his right foot down somewhere.
And he's straight up Olympic diver springboards off of it.
Yeah, but but you can see by the way he springs off of it, because that's a great description. You can see by the way he springs off of it, like he pushes off of the guy's chest. Yeah, he's running down floor.
I'd have done the same thing.
But to say he stomped on it is not accurate. If you stomp on it, you can't spring off of it too. You would have to be going off the other foot, right?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. I think it's a terrible ruling by the NBA. Could it cost the Warriors this series? Absolutely. You're looking at it, aren't you, Bob?
I am.
Look at Draymond Green's left foot.
I
It's
see
underneath Sabonis.
There is more evidence for the gunman on the grassy knoll than Sabonis actually rolled fully over on his foot. There is a little bit of hip to foot contact that I think leads a little bit to your conclusion. And there's a little bit more of on the rolling over. There's also a rolling over as he's holding on to the foot that does the stomping.
See?
Just right
See?
The right
So what's Draymond supposed to do?
The right call there is tech them both.
Yes.
Play on.
I totally agree. Tech them both
And then,
move
but
along.
pull them aside and say, "Hey, this isn't a fucking sideshow.
And-
This isn't wrestling. Clean it up, or you're not going to play next
Do you
game."
know what it reminded me of? Exactly. Do you remember the playoff game many moons ago, 20-odd years ago, between Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone? And they were like running down the floor doing a bunch of WE shit to each
when
other?
they were actually doing WWE as a side revenue piece.
Absolutely true.
So they were selling a show.
This
while selling a show.
whole period of the game reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And like it was incumbent on the officials to say, okay, guys,
Stop.
knock off the WWE dramatic bullshit
Play
and let's
basketball.
play ball.
Yeah.
This did not warrant a suspension. It didn't warrant a flagrant. It just double tech. I'm with you. Double tech and let's move on.
Yeah.
And if Draymond Green should have stopped, and you ask what should he have done after he does the stomping, run a little bit, stop, go back and go, give your hand to the guy to lift him up. Hey, man, sorry. That's a boom, boom play. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And instead,
Which Draymond Green will never do.
Sabonis
Yeah.
rolls
Like, who are you talking
around,
about?
Well, he looked like a soccer player.
rolls around
yeah.
like he's been shot in the chest by a Mac 10. And it's like, you are 260 pounds and 7'1".
There is no place for that in this game.
He said this morning that he's getting a MRI on chest contusions.
on my internal organs.
Bullshit. Like, just spare me the bullshit.
When's
Get
the
back
next
to playing
game?
ball. Tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, Charles Barkley.
Where's Thompson been in this? Clay.
He has not played well. He has not played well. So there's a couple of sort of overarching things going on in the playoffs. One of them is old guys not getting their shit done.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson is on that list. Draymond Green, forget about the suspension, just the ball, is not getting it done. Chris Paul,
Yeah.
not getting it done. Now, they won last night. They won last night, but it was not because Chris Paul did something great.
I watched the first half, and I didn't see him do anything
'Cause he's-
like he wasn't even playing that much.
There is there's a thing going on. There's a string out there that I'm seeing in this playoffs.
He needs to retire.
There's a string of old guys who are starting to piss off the younger guys on their team by being just overly mouthy and,
And not
leader-
backing it up.
Yeah, leadership is one thing, but like, really, you're going to call me out on every single defensive rotation, Chris Paul? How about
Make a basket.
You start guarding somebody, dude, because he doesn't guard anymore, Chris Paul. People are sick of his shit. And, like, Phoenix has all the talent in the world to win an NBA championship. I don't think they're gonna, and it's gonna be because of Chris Paul. People are sick of his shit, and they're sick of Draymond's shit, and they're sick of Clay's shit, because Clay is one of those guys who's calling out
a lot of
he's
shit.
calling out his younger guys. Like,
and if he's not making 3 points, just go away.
He's not doing a
you're
whole
not
hell
a
of
nice
lot.
player.
He's really not. And you see on the other side, there's been an explosion for some younger stars that, like, maybe a dork like me, I knew they were really good, but the rest of the league, casual fans,
hadn't seen it.
Like, did you know that De'Aaron Fox was
as nice as he is?
As nice as he is?
No.
When he was drafted from Kentucky, I remember saying, I think he's going to be the best guard out of this class. And I was laughed out of the gym, okay?
Which gym?
Well, in Carnegie, Reckley. But look, he is. He's the best guard from that class. Sorry to Lonzo Ball. His career has not worked out great. Markelle Fultz did not work out great. He's the dude.
Yeah.
Here's another guy from the same team, Malik Monk.
Stud.
Dude, he's nice. It took him a while to get his footing in the NBA, but they were backcourt mates at Kentucky, which is pretty awesome to remember.
Could have been for more than a year.
It was only 1 year. and look, they had a
played ball
year.
6 months together.
They did. They had a good year. And now they're back together, and they're putting it on Golden State. Golden State looks old.
Yeah.
They look frustrated with each other, and they're getting nothing from their younger players. They have a couple of nice young players. Moody on the bench, Kuminga. They're getting nothing from those guys. And if they don't, they're losing this series.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Do they break that team up?
No, not exactly. I imagine they sell off their younger players.
Well, Draymond needs to retire.
The sad thing is he's the area where they need the most improvement.
Right.
Is that defensive stopper that can guard the rim. And
he used to be the X factor.
Yeah.
He still is, but in a negative fashion.
Yeah. He used to be able to guard the rim really well with verticality.
And his ability to upset people and get them off their game was a positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could drive somebody crazy, and then they're making turnovers, and they're playing stupid, and they're not thinking about what they should be thinking about.
Yep.
Now he's just kind of a sideshow.
He is. And he and Chris...
Bob.
That's you. Yeah. He and Chris Paul have something in common to me.
They're assholes.
Well, there's definitely that, because Chris Paul is a massive asshole. I mean, talk about top 5 players I would not want to play with. Like, even if rec league, I just don't want that guy. Don't scream at me for missing a defensive rotation, okay? I realize it, okay? You are not playing defense either, Chris Paul. So, but they have something in common, Draymond and Chris Paul, and that's this. Their bodies can no longer perform the way they used to. They both still have super high basketball IQs.
Go coach.
Exactly. Because your body can't do what your IQ is telling you it should. And so when it reaches that point, man, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, would Phoenix be better right now with Booker and KD and the rest of their lineup and insert average NBA point guard? I mean, Trey Jones from the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, just facilitate.
A facilitator. They would be better off, honest to goodness. No, Chris Paul is hurting his team. And is it going to surprise you if the Clippers wind up taking down the Suns?
No.
Because Kawhi is in full, like, Terminator mode.
He's really good when he wants to be.
He's back to, like, freakish, like, murderous Kawhi playoff mode.
I mean, that series, he steals the ball from the Slim Reaper, goes down through traffic, and just jams it.
Yeah.
Or what about guarded well, pull back 3 swish?
Yeah.
Where was that in San Antonio, you fucking dick?
He needed to fix his knee.
Yeah.
Kawhi.
Everybody who hates all of the load management stuff, sorry, we've lost our case. Because look how good Kawhi has been in these first couple of games. And he sat out not quite half the season, but,
Almost
2/5
half
of
the
it.
season.
Yeah. We're losing that case.
We talking about practice?
The injuries are probably the other thing that's come out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Giannis is a question mark for tonight. I think he's going to go.
What's hurt on him?
Because he's a tough guy. His back.
Back.
He's a tough
When
dude.
you're that big, your back starts hurting.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
he hit his tailbone.
He got undercut.
Really bad.
And the John Moran injury to his hand, like that looks like it could be, the end of the season for Ja.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come of that, but it was kind of the same play. It's these last second slide ins to draw charges. And you've already seen Mark Cuban and others have come out and said, well, we need to move the charge circle out a foot more. I'm not against that necessarily, but I don't think that is really going to solve it all. What we have in basketball, and any high school or AAU coach that's listening will tell you this, everything changed all of a sudden like 20 years ago, where you can just jump in front of a guy at the very last second, get 2 feet down, get trucked, and now that's on the offensive player. Growing up, man, you needed to be established for like a count.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you took that hit, yeah, that's a charge. But sliding in at the very last second, that's not a charge. It's just not.
I broke a kid's arm doing that once.
See, I bet you would. That's the guy in pickup ball.
No, it was a organized
Okay.
high school game.
Good.
I went in to set myself. He went over my leg, my knee, which was kind of jutted out. Went down, broke his arm.
Oh my God! Did you stick your knee out like Charlie Horse the guy?
Not intentionally,
But you did,
but that's the way it ended up.
Bob. That is such chicken shit.
He ended up being a friend.
Like, stuff like that is the stuff that like breaks basketball code. Like, you can be out there playing ball at wherever your rec league is. If you step in at the last second, the way those guys did against Morant and against Giannis, if you do that in a pickup game and you get under the guy and flip him onto his upper body, man, be ready to fight, because that's chicken shit and everybody knows it. And somehow the NBA and the rest of basketball has allowed it to keep going on. And now you watch high school basketball, like
They do it all the time.
it's constant.
It's
man.
stupid. I feel like the kids pick up the shittiest parts of the pro game.
Yeah. And the coaches are latching on because they realize it's a way for them to get the ball back, right? Oh, we can't block shots, right? Because we're not athletic enough.
Jump in there.
So we're just going to slide in at the last
Take
second.
that late charge.
Yeah.
Or try
And like,
to.
T-bone somebody.
Well, and then you got to look. Worst case scenario, it's not on you, but you hurt their player.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I want it out of the game.
Well,
I really do.
And it was. I think that this has improved. But who's the guy from Dallas? Pachuca. The guy that would always, our player would go up and he'd jump in.
Jaja Pachulia,
Yeah.
and that was Golden State.
Okay, close enough.
Nonetheless,
There you
what
go.
about him?
When he hurt, was it Kawhi he hurt?
Yeah.
Now in retrospect, it's like there you go. But but he jumps. Someone jumps up, shoots, and he's like right underneath them, so they roll their ankles when they land.
And the NBA has changed that rule.
Right.
And
Now it's time to fix the late minute
the last
Bullshit.
instant slide in
to try
crap.
to draw a charge. Yeah.
I can't stand watching it. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
And look, Richard, in high school where guys aren't 6'9", 6 foot.
Teams we play.
Giannis is 7 feet tall, and he's jumping, 45 inches into the air. Like, that's just a longer way to fall. If it were you or me, like,
fine.
it's not that big a fall, right? Like, it's just not that bad.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
That's right. But when you're talking about Morant, who's like damn near 50 inches off the ground.
He jumps and his unit is on the backboard.
Yes. That's just a terrifying way to fall.
Yeah.
And you're
Something's
gonna
gotta break.
You're gonna hurt your stars, right? And a guy like Jokic, a guy like Doncic, guys who like don't get off the ground,
They're earthbound.
They're gonna have longer careers.
Yeah.
And it's less exciting to watch, but they're gonna have longer careers because they're not putting themselves in that kind of jeopardy.
Right.
That's been a big thing with Ja since the day he stepped in the league. For all of us who enjoy watching him play, it's like, dude, this guy's amazing. But like,
He's gonna get hurt.
how long before he breaks a wrist?
There's not
And
a
it
lot
may
of
have just happened.
sustainability.
No, there's really not.
All right, East and West. Who's coming out? Who's playing in the final?
It's too early for me to really know that. And as I mentioned last week, it's about as wide open.
Still?
Yeah, I really do think so. It's about as wide open as I can remember it being. Look, it'd be hard to say that anybody has looked more impressive than Boston, who's 2 up on Atlanta.
Yeah.
But Atlanta's a mess. You know, the Trae Young experiment in Atlanta is over. Okay, they have figured out they just can't get through it with him. He's gonna have to be traded. But I've said that for 2 years. He's not who you want as your franchise guy, and it doesn't work in the playoffs, particularly against Boston. It's a bad matchup for them. I mean, look, Trae Young goes high screen and roll, and he's being guarded by Derek White, who's a great defensive player, probably first or second team all defense. Then he gets switched, and it's Marcus Smart, last year's defensive player of the year. And if he gets switched again, he's being guarded by Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, who are like 6'9", all arms and miles long. Like, that's a bad matchup for Atlanta. And Boston has looked good. Like,
Yeah, they're good.
if you had to, if you put a gun to my head today, I'd say they're going to be the champs.
Okay, I'm going to put a clock on you. You get 2 minutes and 50 seconds to finish this conversation about the NBA.
Okay, interesting. I think I have a funny feeling why. And then in the West, look, Denver looked really good in Game 1. They looked really good, but I'm not going to do backflips over that. There's a lot of possibilities out in the West. Could Sacramento stay warm? What if the Clippers and Kawhi keep going and get Paul George back? Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes, Denver looks good. Sure. If the Lakers should somehow gather some momentum by beating Memphis, and I think they are going to beat Memphis.
Yeah.
Without a healthy Ja, I just don't see
They can't.
how
beat 'em.
Memphis can keep up. It's just wide open over there.
Yeah. So you're calling your shot.
I think it's
Denver,
Boston.
Denver, Boston.
I think so.
That's probably what the bookies say too. At this point.
Yeah, maybe. Although Milwaukee may still be the betting favorite in the East. Maybe. Depends on how they're analyzing Giannis's injury.
Got it. When are the ping pong balls coming out?
A month from yesterday.
Okay, not that you're counting.
You
Good.
did see that the Spurs lost the coin flip to Houston, right?
No.
Yeah, so Houston is officially the second worst team. It's not a big deal. They don't have better odds to get Victor.
13% or 14%.
They stay at 14%, all 3 teams. But what it does is it opens up a possibility that the Spurs could fall as far as 7 instead of falling as far as 6.
Wait, there was a coin flip and we didn't have like a half-hour ESPN show about it?
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
It like happened in the dark. Speaking of Spurs, there's some Spurs who are out there making look. DeRozan in the playoff game looked awesome.
Sure did.
I was really happy for him.
His daughter's a star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Defensive juggernaut.
DeJounte Murray has been good for the Hawks. The Hawks have been bad, but he has been good. And obviously Kawhi Leonard and Derek White. Derek White has been awesome for Boston. Just awesome.
Yeah.
I know
sad.
that doesn't make you happy or nothing. But
It's like watching Longhorn players go into the league and flourish.
Yeah. After they're done with a mediocre career at UT.
Where was that?
Yeah, where was that in Austin?
Yeah.
And then, the other thing with the Spurs is, of course, the county commissioners have signed off on them playing a few more games outside of San Antonio.
Oh, that's
which
funny.
Everybody gets nervous and shaky about. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think that's exactly the way the Spurs should be growing their brand.
Your 250 is up.
Why 250?
That's how long it takes Cantley to hit a punch shot out of the stupid brush.
Boy, that was a serious contemplation on a segue.
I know.
Bob, fucking A.
Is anybody else as sick of Patrick Cantlay and his crap on the PGA Tour as I am? Other than, I guess, Brooks Koepka. He's pretty pissed off about it. This is 2 weeks in a row, man. Like, the Masters final round, there was some stat I saw that Rahm and Koepka spent 92 minutes sitting on tee boxes.
Yeah,
Sitting. on tee boxes.
Kepka said that
I hope they were comfortable.
Rom went to the restroom 7 times during his round.
Yeah, and it's just to do something.
Yeah, just to fart.
Yeah.
And check his DMs.
Yes.
He,
And you know
maybe
who they
he
were,
was smoking in
you
there.
know who they're playing behind?
Cantlay.
Patrick Cantlay. Can't play fast, I can tell you that.
Now, is he the worst, the most aggressive on the tour? But there's more, right?
There's other guys who are his equal, but I would tell you, having watched him live, like in person, he's the worst I have ever seen, other than maybe Jim Furyk, who was just the most brutal watch. And Furyk had a great career, and he's a Hall of Famer and all of that shit. But watching him play live is one of the worst things you can ever do.
We have sources in the PGA Tour that say that's his tactic. He bores the other players to playing badly.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's like a tennis player that's a pusher, no real power, just kind of ekes it across the net, and you get tired.
Yeah, and you're
you
just
make a
sick of it.
mistake. You
Yeah.
get pissed, and you make a mistake.
Look, Cantlay at the Masters, he said that the people ahead of him were slow. Is that possible? Yes, of course it is. But then this past weekend at the RBC, at Hilton Head, he was in the final group with Fitzpatrick and Spieth. And it was extremely exciting in the last 2 or 3 holes to see Spieth versus Fitzpatrick, because Cantlay was a couple back, not necessarily part of the story. And you'd see a shot by Spieth, and then you'd have to wait 6 minutes to see a shot by Fitzpatrick, or vice versa, because, oh yeah, Patrick Cantlay is stuffed in between them, hitting a tee shot on 17, which is about an 8-iron. Okay, it's not the most complicated shot on the planet Earth. Like, just kind of pull the club and swing, man. And you got to wait 5 minutes between shots, and then they go to the 18th green, and Fitzpatrick and Spieth, who are tied, both have reasonably makeable birdie putts. And you get one shot, and then you got to wait 4 minutes before the other guy gets his shot, because Cantlay is sandwiched in between the two shots. It ruins the viewership. There was some guy who posted a video of Cantlay's punch shot. He's like on the mulch. He's just punching out, Richard. Like, that doesn't take a long time. It was almost, how long was it?
2 minutes, 50 seconds.
I'm sorry, man. You got to play faster than that. It's unacceptable.
All right. What's your fix? Because I got a fix.
Well, maybe yours first then.
Okay. Every tournament, he plays last and by himself. You just dropped your coffee all over
came
your
out.
dick.
Coffee came out. Oh, God, that's warm.
I think that'll fix him.
I bet it would.
You were teeing off at 3:09 p.m. and you're playing with absolutely fucking nobody. Have a good round.
If he were the only guy who was as guilty of this, then I would rather agree with you.
Okay, all right. That sounds a little childish. Let's let him play with the 2 other slowest players in the tournament, because you have the data.
Yeah.
Y'all are last. Go kick ass. Let's see how many people are going to watch y'all if they want to die on the course while you're playing.
I mean, it's the while we're young thing with him.
Today, Junior.
Yeah, it is an absolutely brutal watch, okay? And I'm sure it's even worse if you're playing in his group, right? I mean, Fitzpatrick plays fast.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he said is, I try to do all of my pre-shot routine
While I'm walking to the ball.
and while the other guys are hitting their shots.
Right.
Well, that's what every golfer on the planet who gives a damn about slow play at your club or mine, that's what we're all doing. I'm reading my putt while you're hitting yours, right? That's how you play faster.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is there a recommended shot clock in the PGA and LPGA?
I think it's 45 seconds.
40 seconds, generally recommended.
Yeah, but they don't enforce
not
it.
enforced it.
Right. So, okay, you want to hear my stupid... This is
Tell me it has a bullhorn.
No, but I would love that. Have you ever watched Speed Chess?
I know
Not
what
exactly,
it is,
okay.
but I'm not looking for it.
You've seen a movie or two based on
Right,
it, right?
right.
Is that the
Fresh.
one where they play chess in between fighting in the ring?
No, what's that?
I think it's boxing chess. or
Oh, that
chess
sounds
boxing.
terrible. But the basic idea of speed chess is that especially early in the game, you're playing your moves as fast as you can because they're easier moves. You're stopping the clock because you're allotted a certain amount of time over the course of the game. So you play the easier moves as fast as you can so that later in the game, when the moves are more complex, you can give yourself a chance to have more time. Not all golf shots are created equal. I get that. You got a 60-footer over 2 ridges and then down a third. That's a much harder putt than the 3-footer, 3-foot tap in, right?
Yeah.
Like it just is. It's going to require more time. Like,
Since when was a 3-footer tap in for you? I've played with you.
It's not, but for the pros, okay, we'll call it 2-foot. Okay, if you if you lag your first putt up and you're a PGA Tour professional to 2 feet, and you mark it and step away and let the next guy go, unless you're standing in somebody's line, I'm sorry, dude. Step up, mark that ball, clean it if you need to, put the line down, finish.
Here's the one
Get
thing
it done.
Here's the one thing I don't understand about this problem of slow play being a problem. Cantley says the average round time hasn't changed. There is no statistic or metric around other than anecdotally, shit, this looks long, to prove him differently. Why don't we have a chess clock that tracks a players whenever they're quote unquote on the clock before they hit their shot, it runs down, and we do some sort of chess clock thing where you have 60 minutes to play your round, whatever.
I love it.
But why don't we have this metric?
I don't know, but I do know this. They took 5 hours and 50 minutes to go around Hilton Head in a threesome in the final group last week. That golf course is short. The tee boxes are right next to the greens. It might be the easiest walk you've ever seen of any. It's like playing Brack, bro. I mean, it's a little longer, but basically the same idea. There are no long walks. There's no reason that golf course should play, even for a professional with all the money on the line. There's no way that golf course should take over 5 hours.
And we've had PGA Tour events this year who have struggled to finish their first and second rounds with no weather delay.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the
your
metric.
analytics.
There's your metric. Yeah. If you can't get your damn rounds in a day's time, then players are playing too slow.
Cantley's saying, well, they can't just pin it on me.
They can't. He's right. There are more culprits than just him. But he is the most egregious, and he's also the best of the slow players.
Score-wise.
Yeah, where he is
World ranking.
Yeah, he is.
I think we should trade him
to
the Live
yes.
Tour.
Oh, my God.
For anyone.
In breaking news, this article published January 14th, 2020, PGA Tour announced a new slow play policy that will go into effect at the Heritage this week after the Masters.
Really?
So it was
that
supposed
was in 2020?
2020.
That was 2 years ago, and it was supposed to happen.
3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Close enough again.
apparently there's a list.
Let me see.
A
Who's on
list
the
of
list?
dudes or what?
No, they were proposing an observation list of the 10 worst egregiously slow players.
Rory Sabatini.
It doesn't say who
not
it is.
Not Rory Sabatini. He's the one who gets frustrated when somebody else plays slow. I bet there's a list.
I mean, the shot clock or the pitch clock in baseball has almost single-handedly saved baseball.
Yeah.
It seems like it's working, man.
So let's do the same thing for golf.
I don't see why not. So, look, the speed chess thing, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. How hard would it be to have a timekeeper go with each group from the first tee on and literally hit the little clock when the player arrives at the ball and turn it off after they've hit the shot? That's not that hard.
Doesn't every group already have a rules official that goes with them?
Nah, not exactly. Yes, they have like an escort, so to speak.
How good does she look?
But it's just not that. I don't think it would be that hard to instill a clock. And by the way, if you can play your tee shot in 25 seconds and your ball's up against a tree and you need a ruling, right? You got to call over a rules official. And okay, I understand that shot probably takes 4 minutes, but you earned yourself a little something. because you hit your tee shot in 25 seconds.
Or in those instances, you just pause the clock.
All right, how do you enforce when they're coming up on their time? Because you can't be like, all right, that's it. Hit it right fucking now.
Oh, I think you start hitting these guys in the wallet hard.
I think you start hitting them with strokes.
Well, so strokes is an eventuality, but that's not where I would start because that can impact who wins and loses the tournament. And I don't much love that right out of the gate. But if
what are they playing for?
But if you start
They're
hitting
playing
them with
for money, right?
yeah, if you start hitting them with $100,000 fines, $200,000 fines, I think that stuff starts to add up. They're not going to love that. I mean, that is the difference between finishing, let's just say, 11th in a tournament and 13th in a tournament, right? Yeah. And I think that that's a great way to do it. I mean, again, not all shots are created equal. Some of them need rulings. That's another thing that could help, Bob. Do you know how often I watch the PGA Tour and players have a very obvious ruling? Ball on the cart path. Ball next to the cart path. My stance is on the cart path. These are rules that guys like me and Richard, casual players, have to use all the time. And you know what? We know exactly how to proceed. And I'll be damned if every single time a pro has a simple ruling, they call over a rules official. And some Ian Baker Finch always says, smart by that player to bring over the rules official just to make sure that he's doing everything right. No, it's not. It's your profession. Know the rules, execute the rules. Well, you don't need a rules official on every damn cart path ruling or unplayable lie. You know the rules. Your fellow playing partners know the rules. Call them over and get it right.
Well, do it like we do in the NFL. You only get 4 rule official ruling things around.
I thought about that.
I think that's too many.
I thought about
one
that.
aside.
I thought about that, but there are weird rounds, man, where you just keep coming up with like, I'm on the cart path.
Then pay for them.
Okay.
Pay for them. And I love your idea of it hitting him in the pocketbook. And here's where the PGA should show themselves to be the bigger man. Match those fines and give it to a good charity. Take those fines, match them on the PGA. You have enough money, and give them to a good charity.
I'm sure everybody'd be happy about that. I know Brooks Koepka would be, because that guy was about to blow a fucking top after the Masters. And look, I'm not a Koepka guy, but I can't blame him. You can't get into a round of golf if you're sitting and waiting 8 minutes on every box.
Right. I'll tell you, he represented himself pretty well at the Masters.
He did.
Because after I watched the show on Netflix, I was like, this guy's a grade A douche.
Yeah, I thought so too.
From everything that he's doing, his choice of ladies to how he operates. But he represented himself pretty well.
And I thought Phil represented himself really well in Augusta too.
Wearing his own swag for his team.
All the live golfers represent themselves well.
They kind of did. I got to give them that much credit. Well,
the Saudis called him up and said, behave nice.
You think so?
Or we cut off hand. That was a Russian.
I got to cut off the show.
Yeah.
You guys have appointments to go to.
Something like that.
We'll be back next week with more, I'm sure, with this. I mean, the NBA playoffs are going to get weird. This is going to be a very, very, very good postseason, and I'm looking forward to it.
Love it. All right, y'all be good. Happy Fiesta.
Thank you, man. You too.
How y'all feel out there? Do you feel good? I said, do you feel good? Come on. The groove feel good when it make you move, make your next move.